So I'm going to call the meeting to order, Kate, at, like 5:34 I got.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a special meeting to discuss the ballot and discuss the special meeting we had planned at the end of the month. So, Bill, can you put up that ballot for us?
I will.
And then, besides, we do have other people besides board members on the line.
We do.
Okay,
Yes,
so we're sorry, folks, but Dwight and I are at the school with Tammy and Matt, and we can't really see because we're working off of Tammy's phone. So we were,
Rich,
yeah.
you said this is a special meeting. It's not. It's just a regular meeting.
It's an informational meeting just on the ballot. The regular meeting we'll call to order after we do this. The first thing we're going to do was the informational meeting. It's just an informational meeting. So is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So those that aren't board members Bill, do you have the ballot up so they can see it?
I have the ballot up. It is 2 pages. I have the first page up, Article 1.
Okay, so
Shall the voters approve the following amendments?
okay, so this is we're asking everybody on February 27th to vote at your respective town. If you live in Wardsboro, you'll vote at the Wardsboro Town Clerk's office. If you're in Dover, you'll vote at the Dover Town Clerk's office. And it's 2 articles, and the first article is to amend the River Valley Unified School District Articles of Agreement. And it's kind of a little bit confusing because the first whole section is pretty much everything getting struck. But we were advised by the attorney we had to put that in there. So what you're voting to is in Article 9, Composition of School Board, to strike everything that's in there right now. Yep, that's yours, Dwight. And to vote that the members of the Board of School Directors shall be composed of a total of 6 individuals elected pursuant to the modified at-large model of board representation as authorized by 16 VSA 711 subsection, it's got sample written over D,
the same as yours.
subsection A2. And 3 seats will be of the board are allocated to each of the 2 forming school districts, Dover and Wardsboro, with individuals elected to fill those seats by a vote of the entire unified school district, pursuant again to 730 subsection A subsection 2. And there's a transition provision that the district shall implement voting under the modified at-large model for school directors as follows. Commencing with the 2023 annual meeting and each succeeding year thereafter, school directors with terms that expire that year shall be elected according to the modified at-large model. So if you vote yes, you're voting to strike all the stuff that has lines through it that exists and to put in its place the stuff that's highlighted and underlined. Not highlighted, is in bold and underlined. So are there any questions or comments on that? Bill, I can't see anybody. I don't know if you can.
I do not see any hands.
Okay, so I did talk to Andy. He was going to try to make it tonight, but he can't. So he did say that he's found with these articles when they're usually you have to check some names or check some boxes. There's a lot here in Article 1. So if people want to bring a crib sheet in so they can remember what they were voting for and how they wanted to vote, he said he can't allow that. You just can't wear like a T-shirt in that says vote yes on Article 1 or vote yes on Article 2. So if there's no questions on that from anybody, do you want to move on?
I have a question, Rich.
Go ahead, Mark. I can't see you, so you have to speak out.
I did.
Thank you.
Is there a minimum number of votes that have to be received in order for this to be a valid election? Because we've done obviously well, other than one op-ed, we've done no advertising of this. There's been nothing in Deerfield Valley News about it.
No, there isn't.
We were discussing the board meeting.
Yeah, it's been, Dwight just mentioned, it's been discussed at board meetings.
Yeah, but we've done no outreach other than that one op-ed to let our constituents know that this is coming up.
And
Okay,
Mark, all due respect, please stop calling it an op-ed. We've been through that part.
still
What
can't
I
fix
believe
this
is an
now.
op-ed.
Okay, it was a letter that we directed, we asked a member to write, and that we voted on as a board. Okay, so is there any question on Article 1? Okay, Bill, if there's no hands up, I'll move on.
Correct.
Okay, so Article 2, and it's going to be on, this is a sample ballot, so it'll be on two sides. Article 2, so the voters approve the following amendments to the River Valley Unified School District Articles of Agreement. Article 13, budget, elections, and public questions. Everything will be struck except the second sentence, which says the Unified School Districts Board shall propose annual budgets in accordance with Title 16 VSA Chapter 11. And then we're going to add, elections of Unified District Board members shall be conducted by Australian ballot at a warned annual or special meeting of the district following the requirements of 16 VSA 730A again. And then it's yes or no. Is there any questions on that? So, if there's no questions, Bill, you got nobody's with hands up?
No hands are up, sir.
Okay, so if you want an absentee ballot, you need to go to your respective town clerk where you will vote, because obviously the town clerk in Wardsboro doesn't know to give a ballot to somebody who's in Dover because they don't have the Dover list and vice versa. Absentee ballots will be available after tomorrow on February 7th, right? Today's the 6th. Yep. Absentee ballots will be available February 7th. Clerk says, suggested, the clerk did want me to make sure I told you that crib sheets are legal, so if you want to write yourself a note on how you want to vote, or if you have any questions, that's fine. And he also said that you can request by mail a ballot, and he can mail it to you, and then you have to mail it back. But he says with the way mail has been lately, it doesn't always, it's not very reliable. So he's suggesting if you want an absentee ballot, you go to your respective town clerk's office. Does anybody have any questions on what we're asking people on February 27th to vote on? Okay, so we will have another informational meeting in Dover, and the week before the election, it's February 21st, and that meeting will strictly be an informational meeting. There'll be no board meeting for that.
Is that a Tuesday, Rich?
Yeah, no, Monday.
Monday's the 20th, I think.
Oh.
It is Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. Okay, so it is Tuesday the 21st, and then on February 27th, there'll be an all-day vote, and then on February 28th, we're going to warn a special school meeting just to count votes. But we will not conduct any school business. It'll just be that since to help with the voting. Are there any questions on that?
You have no hands up, sir.
Okay. So the second item was we had also warned, and we had signed to warn a special meeting for February 28th at 7:30 p.m. and it was one article, and it was to the voters to move the annual meeting date from the last Tuesday in March to the last Tuesday in April, which will be April 25th in 2023. At this time, the governor and the legislature passed and the governor signed a bill that allows the board to just have a vote on that we don't have to have a special meeting for that. So this, what I'd like to do is when we get into the regular meeting portion is to vote not to conduct this meeting. And then we can just vote to have the meeting on April 25th in 2023. Are there any questions on that?
Is there a specific procedure in statute for rescinding a warning like this?
What the district clerk told me all we had to do was if we voted on it and those that are here signed it, he would be happy with that. He would be good with that. But he had to warn it in case we decided not to do it because there weren't enough days. Are there any other questions?
No other hands, no.
Okay, so our new district moderator, I'm sorry we're taking away your first meeting on you, buddy.
You're okay.
Okay, but you'll remember, so we're probably going to vote in a few minutes to do it on April 25th.
He is nodding enthusiastically.
Okay. And I think next week is the training, or is it this week?
Tomorrow, I think.
Oh, wow. Didn't think it was coming that quick. That's awful for me. Okay. If there's no other questions or comments on this, then I think we can move out of our...
Rich,
Yeah.
I just have, I don't know if anybody else doesn't. I don't know our moderator, who he is.
I'm Aaron Dringus. I'm a teacher at Leland and Gray, Spanish teacher. I live in Wardsboro.
Aaron, pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
And he won a hotly contested race at the last annual school district meeting. It was a tie vote by hand and ballot. I think he pulled it out in the ballots.
One or two votes.
One or two votes. It was very close. But Andy, thank you for putting yourself forward. Not always easy to do. Aaron, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is really tough. Believe me, we're looking at a phone and there's a big W in the middle of it, but it's sideways, so it looks like a ranch hand. So is everybody good with that? We can move on. So everybody good?
Yes.
Okay, under additions or deletions to the agenda, I'd like to ask that we add to old business to vote to rescind the warning for the February 28th board meeting, and then also to vote to have a special meeting at 5:30 on the 28th for the specific purpose of counting ballots with the Board of Civil Authority. And I think that's it for me. Is there anybody else?
Do we need to move out of informational session and into general session?
No, I think didn't I say that? We're done with the informational section or not? Okay,
I might
well,
have missed it.
we're done with the informational section. What we did this time was, instead of putting a time, because last time we said we were doing the informational at 5:30 and we only took 15 minutes, so then we sat around for 15-20 minutes to wait to start the regular meeting. So I think we're okay to roll into the regular agenda unless anybody's got an objection. This is tough.
How you doing?
20 years ago, if they'd seen me, they would have thrown me in the retreat. Okay, so if everybody's good, I've got the one addition to the agenda, or the two items. Does anybody else have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry, and I also, under executive session, I want to add contractual also.
Is that part of the same thing, or is it a separate executive session?
It can be part of the same one.
Okay. Each topic or area needs
Right.
to have its own executive session.
Right. I think what we'll do is we'll make the main motion and then we'll make two motions under that so that we can move that forward.
Mark, I'll try to find some language and email it to you so we can read it aloud.
Okay, my understanding is that you can't do that. That you have to go into executive session, come back out, and go back in for a different topic.
Okay, then we'll just do that. It'll be easier.
Okay.
So we can use that first standard boilerplate one and then just change the second one, correct, Bill?
Yeah, I'm going to look for the language about contractual. I got to find it. But I will find it.
Okay. Sorry about that. Do we have any other additions or deletions? Matt, are you seeing this on your thing too?
I don't have any connection.
Okay. So I got members of the public. Do we have anybody from the public that'd like to be heard? I don't know how we tell. Bill, nobody from the public?
Bill, okay.
I do not have any hands.
And how about members of the staff?
Nobody has their hand raised, Rich.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So then I'm going to go to old business. Mark, that transportation request, that's still under discussion, correct?
Yeah, I have not heard back. I tried scheduling. I have not heard back from either Travis or Todd.
Okay, so we're leaving that there as kind of a placeholder. So just we'll keep it under old business when you're ready to discuss it, and then once we're done, we'll take it off. Okay?
Yeah, we've got two issues that need to be discussed by the committee.
Okay.
We need the transportation people there. So.
Okay, so let's we'll keep that there. Financials. So I know that I think on Friday I saw the financials come out. So we're looking at spending $520,313.82. Did anybody have any questions, comments, answers?
So, Rich, I think you get the financials before we do. They came today. They came this afternoon.
Oh, I thought everybody's name was on it. I'm sorry. I actually got it. I saw something on Friday, Mark, but I didn't read them till today. It's up to you folks. I mean, whoops. Feedback.
I had enough time to review them, and I had a couple questions, but I answered them myself, so I'm good.
Anybody else have any questions?
No questions. I'm good as well.
Chad?
No questions from me either at the moment.
So, will you make a motion to?
Sure. So there's a motion to approve the
General fund
the
expenses.
I need the amount as well.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the expenses of $52,000.
No,
No, $520,313.82.
Kate, did you get that okay?
I did.
Do I have a second?
Yep. Kate will second that.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve general fund expenditures in the amount of $520,313.82. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. You want to just sign the last page?
Sure.
So the other two items I added to old business. The first one is to rescind the special meeting on February 28th. that we had set up to vote to move the meeting, which has been made unnecessary by the legislature and our governor. Could I entertain a motion from somebody to cancel that meeting?
I move that we rescind the warning for special meeting on February 28th.
Seconded.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mark and a second by Chad. Is there any discussion? I spelled shall wrong in this. You had one L. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. Second thing I need to do is warn a special board meeting to count ballots from the previous day's ballot, previous day's vote on February 28th at 5:30, and it's going to be at the Dover, it's going to be somewhere in Dover. He hasn't determined where yet. So as soon as he tells me where, then we can warn that, but is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, that, because it's a special meeting, it only has to be warned like 48 hours in advance or something, right?
Yeah, we still try to give everybody as much time as possible. That's why I figure if we mention it now, it's out there. And then we don't have another meeting until we have the meeting in March. So there's not going to be, we'll have the informational meeting. We can let people know then in Dover. But we just didn't have another time. So I just want to make sure that was good with everybody. And we do need the help to count votes. It's a fairly easy vote to count because it's only 2 questions. And there's only 2 possible answers. So is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Mark, you all set?
Yep, you want a motion to set the annual meeting?
Yep, that'll be our last thing. Go ahead.
I move that we set the annual meeting for River Valleys for April 25th at 7 p.m. If I remember correctly.
Yep, at the Wardsboro, what do you call it?
Town Hall.
Can you add Wardsboro Town Hall, Mark?
Yes, added.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second to Mark's motion?
Well,
I'll
second.
second it.
Laura has added to the group here, so she is on as well, Rich.
Okay, thank you, Laura. So, Laura, Mark made a motion to move our annual meeting to April 25th, 7 p.m., Wardsboro Town Hall. And it was seconded by
I think Kate got it.
Kate.
Yes, Kate.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 I didn't hear Laura. Laura, you good?
Yes, sorry, couldn't
Nope.
unmute.
Okay, so it appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. So I think a lot of the crazy stuff is over. Can we go to principal's report, benchmark assessment update? This is gonna be fun for you guys,
Do you
isn't
guys
it?
want us to do it tonight? Or do you want us to
When you can
want to
show
get
us
the
what's
full
going on.
experience another time?
So, hey, Mark and Chad and Kate and Laura, because we're down on the internet, we cannot use, they can't put up any screens for us to see. So Dwight and I can see it, but do you guys want to postpone that? Is that okay with you all, or do you want to try to have them muddle their way through it?
If it's a presentation, can we get the PDF?
Well,
Either if it's being presented today or in the future.
okay, so we'll send out the PDF ahead of time, Mark, and then we'll have a discussion. Is that what you're thinking?
it's a lot easier to read something on a PDF when I print it out than it is on a tiny little screen. So in general, I like to have the documents ahead of time. That would be my request.
So is everybody okay if we plan on doing that with the first meeting in March? And then you guys can send it out
Sure.
this
It's
week?
ready to go.
March 6th, is that the date?
Yeah. Is that the next first Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, can I ask
Yeah.
something to be included in that discussion?
Sure. This is the time.
I'd really like to know if either our district, the SU, or the state is planning any sort of way of comparing, and I understand that the local assessment's not SBAC, but comparing SBAC to Cognia.
Oh, the new testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. Can you guys find out?
We
for
can
us?
find out. Bill, do you have any information on that?
I do not as of right now.
We'll look for it.
Okay, Mark.
The discussion they're having in Senate Ed also in either this week or next week, I believe.
So we'll get between Bill and Matt and Tammy. We'll find that out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Superintendent reports. So you have the thing about the Burton Sending Towns.
Yeah, that was the big thing that the board was interested in, and thanks to Mark for talking to his friend in Manchester and finding out the info he was interested in, and kudos to Dwight for sending me in the direction of Burton's admissions process, of which I've included on the agenda, which has a link to all the towns. And then also in your board packet, I got a response from the headmaster at Burton, just confirming that Burton has 13 sending towns, and the town agrees to provide tuition via a vote by the town itself. And we agree to accept all students from that town, with the exception of those we simply cannot serve for specific reasons. He gives the example of not set up to handle students with violent behaviors. The town tuition is $2,500 less than what they charge for private pay students. So thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Mark. And I think that answers the question the board was interested in.
Rich, can I ask Bill a question?
Oh yeah. I just can't see you, Mark.
Well, that's why I spoke up. Bill, with the full implementation, or at least the start, I don't even know what the status is of 173 anymore. I'm not sure anybody does. But with 173 coming online, is it legal for a school receiving public tuition dollars to deny for any reason, such as violent behavior?
My understanding, and I don't have it in front of me, is Act 173 did not include language that would have been specific to your question. I think, no, but I don't know, Mark.
Okay.
Any question?
Dwight has a
Or
question.
do you know?
I'm sorry, did you ask me?
Yeah, I'm just curious whether you knew whether that is something that's legal for them to do.
I believe those types of issues in a public school are addressed through an IEP. I could be wrong, though.
No, that would be the normal path. I think you're bringing up a point that is part of the ongoing discussion about public dollars going to non-public institutions, and what are the guardrails and or responsibilities of accepting that money. But I don't know the answer to your specific question.
And I do not either, Mark.
Great, thank you.
So, Bill,
I do have a question.
well, hang on, because I want to follow up on that because Mark brought up a good point. So, Bill, can you just what would a school, what would a public high school do if they had a very violent person? How do they treat that? I mean, since Mark brought that, not Mark, our Mark, but the other Mark brought that up. How do you deal with that? If the person, because somebody's got to educate the child. So how does that work? Can you just?
No, Mark is correct. You go through an IEP process and you try to create a program that had free and appropriate public education for that student. That may or may not be possible in the public high school in the example you shared. And so then that student may be tuitioned to a private or independent school that specializes in serving the needs that have been identified under the IEP.
So for a school like a totally tuitioning school like us, because I thought that was like the farm, Kindle Farm would take a student that a high school couldn't, even a public high school, because we had a lot of students in our different public schools that we then paid tuition direct to Kindle Farm, just like a Leland and Gray or a Twin Valley, and that was their high school versus those other two schools.
You're pointing out an example of where a process would go through for an IEP for a student, and if the IEP team determined that the most appropriate placement for the student was not in the public high school, but was in a specialty school that provided the services necessary for the student, then yes, you would pay tuition to that school so that that student could receive their education as is statutorily required.
Okay, thank you. Laura, you had a question?
Yes, I apologize, Richard. On the list of towns that are member towns for Burton, does that include Manchester and question mark?
That was my question. So, yeah, Bill, that was my question as well.
I would have to look at the link, which I can't do while I'm doing the Zoom.
Bill, I have it open, and yes, Manchester is included in that list of the full pay sending town rate.
It's a
Mallory,
link on
Danby,
the agenda.
Dorset, Dover, Landgrove, Londonderry, Manchester, Mount Tabor, Peru, Stratton, Sunderland, Wardsboro, Weston, and Winhall. They also make the note that historically the following towns have annually approved paying the state per pupil average, and they include Mendon, Middletown Springs, Mount Holly, Ludlow, Paulet, Rupert, Rutland Town, Sandgate, and Wells.
Laura, does that answer your question?
It answers my question about whether or not anybody's paying less than us, but it opens another question for me about all these other towns. Well, there are a number of other towns that are paying less than us. So.
Yeah, but the parents have to make up the difference. That's what was happening before we voted to become a sending town.
Yeah, it was my understanding from parents at that point, as I think I've stated before, that amount was often negotiated. So, with Burton.
Okay. Are you all set?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Dwight, go ahead.
Yeah, Bill, I think one of the reasons we did this exercise was to determine what Laura's talking about was that the sending towns were all paying the same rate, whereas I think Mark had mentioned that he thought Manchester was paying a less for the sending town rate, but all those towns listed in that document, can you confirm that they are all paying the same amount as a sending town?
Yeah, they're all paying $2,500 less than the published private pay rate.
Right, so the only the only difference is those who don't approve to be a sending town, they're paying the, what do you call it, the
state. The parent has to pay the difference.
No, yeah, but
the school district pays the
right.
sending.
Right.
the average statewide
Statewide
average
average,
tuition.
right? That's what I'm getting at. Statewide average. So all the sending towns are paying the same amount. They don't negotiate any less amounts from different towns. All the sending towns pay the same amount for tuition rate.
That's all right.
Richard,
Yes, Laura?
Yes, I corrected that at our last meeting.
No, yeah. Hang on, Mark. You all good?
That's it.
Laura and then Mark.
yeah, I actually think that this bears asking now, given the understanding of how many towns are not subsidizing the B&B rate. I would like to understand from B&B if they are requiring 100% of the students from the non-sending towns to pay the extra amount that we're supposedly saving.
So you want us to now go back to Burton and say, on these towns that aren't sending towns, have you cut any special deal with an individual family?
Any family, yes. And I apologize, Richard. It feels inefficient to do this, but I was not aware that there were so many towns that were not subsidizing the B&B rate.
So, Rich, I can answer a portion of that, I believe.
Okay.
But I will just say I really would like B&B to attest to their practice.
And that's going to be the answer to you, Laura, is because it's written here on that from the link page that Bill has sent to all of us, as they highlight what is going to be their anticipated 2023-24 cost. And they anticipate that the difference between BBA's, and I'm reading verbatim, between BBA's tuition and the state average will be around $4,000. Burton Academy offers a merit scholarship that candidates can apply for to cover a portion of the remaining balance.
Great. I would love to hear what percentage of the students in the non-subsidized towns are receiving a subsidy from the school, either through a merit scholarship or any other means.
Okay, Bill, is that something you could drop an email to Mark for and just see if that's something he can get? It's fairly easy.
Absolutely do that. May I ask that Laura provide me with the language so I make sure that I get the question correctly with the board's approval?
Would you like that language now, Bill?
I would love to have that language so that I make sure that I ask the correct question. Yes.
So I would like to know from Burton of the towns that are not members whose students attend, Vermont towns who are not member towns, what percentage of those students received a merit scholarship or any other discount each of the last 5 years?
Okay, hang on a second, everybody. Nobody move. But Tammy, you keep moving. Tammy's writing it down, even though she's using the wrong hand. Do you have it?
Thanks, Tammy.
Do you have it written?
No problem.
So, Tammy, can you just read it back for me?
Yes. Of the non-sending, I'm thinking it is a non-sending, you said non-member, but non-sending towns, what percentage of those students received a merit scholarship or any other sort of discount
In the last 5 years.
in the last 5 years?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Bill.
I have that.
Okay, well, Tammy's got it too, so we'll, if you need it, we'll send it to you. Okay, so Laura, you.
Can I ask a question?
No, wait, just hang on 1 second, sir. Give me 1 sec. Laura, are you all good?
I am, and I do apologize for the inefficiency in going back, but I really was unaware of how many towns were sending, were not
Tim, go on,
subsidizing
you
the Burton rate.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Chad, and then Mark. Not Mark, I'm sorry, Chad and Dwight.
So I just wanted to ask, for clarification on Laura's question. I read off, as they said, historically, the following towns have annually approved. Are you asking about those 8 towns or towns that have not approved the sending or even the statewide average?
Well, a town has to pay, if the town is a sending town, if the town is a tuitioning town, it has to pay the statewide average to any approved school. So that a town can't refuse to pay an approved school in Vermont. So the sending town, what we were told when this was presented in Dover anyways, was that by becoming a sending town, Burton is collecting the money not from 20 individual families, but they're collecting it from the town. So that was worth giving a discount because they didn't have to send out 20 bills. They didn't have to try to go to collect from 20 places. And that it would also guarantee that any student, with a few exceptions, that lived in the town would always have a spot. So if Burton was all full up and was telling people they couldn't accept any more, people from a sending town that has agreed to pay the additional money would always have a spot. That was the crux of it. So again, you have no choice. You have to pay at a minimum the statewide average. So if you want to send your child to the Burlington, Vermont Public High School and the tuition is $30,000, we have to pay that. But if you send them to any private or approved school, we pay the statewide minimum.
So,
Richard.
Well, hang on.
hang on.
Go ahead, Chad. This is really
So the
tough.
big difference is that these 8 additional towns that have traditionally approved, those students are not guaranteed acceptance. Whereas the sending town students are guaranteed acceptance so long as there is not a situation that is untenable for BBA to provide a quality education for that student, as we discussed with Bill clarifying the IEP option.
That's what we've been told, yes.
Okay.
Are you good?
So for the
Oh,
extra
sorry.
2,000 or so, we get a guaranteed admission for the students of Woodsboro, Dover.
And it saves the parents a few dollars.
Correct. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, let me get back to you. Let me go to Dwight because he's been chomping at the bit, and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah, just kind of really what you're saying, Rich. Also, I think those towns that are listed on the BBA website are just towns that happen to have some students that are attending, because they don't have to. They're not approving to get the I keep forgetting what it's called. No, the sending town rate. They're not approving that, so they're probably just listing those towns because there happen to be some students from those towns who have applied to go to BBA. So I'm not so sure what what benefit we'll get from those, finding out what kind of scholarships they're getting from those towns, because they just happen to be going there. And I'm not sure. I'd be curious to know, even if we do find out if they've gotten some type of merit or some type of scholarship, what percentage of those from those schools are sending. Maybe just 1 or 2 kids are going from those towns compared to places like us and some of the neighboring towns. Those towns are pretty far away. We're talking about Rutland, Mount Holly. I mean, what else is on some other? I can't see the list in front of me. But my point is, I think they just happen to be listed because there happen to be some students that are attending. They're not.
But again, it's okay. It's
okay to go through the exercise, but I'm not sure. I'm just trying to quantify it a little bit and what exactly we're going to get from this. But okay.
Okay. Are you all set?
Yeah.
Laura, go ahead. Laura?
Dropped off. She
Okay.
we lost
That was my phone.
coverage.
Yeah, I thought we dropped off, so we were starting to talk about you all out there in TV land, but
Dead.
okay. So Mark Schaubert, we haven't heard from you in a while. Are you all set to move on?
I think it would be prudent to get an update from Burn, what it is that they are guaranteeing our students. I think any discussion that was had back when Dover first became a sending town is sort of irrelevant at this point. We need to know what they are currently offering. I don't see anything on their website that says that they are guaranteeing admission to all students from sending towns.
Okay, so Bill, can you add that too, please?
Richard,
Okay, hang on a second, Laura. We went right by you. Hang on, Laura. Hang on. Bill, can you add what Mark just asked? Are you good?
I believe that the headmaster answered that question when he said, we agree to accept all students from a sending town with the exception of those we simply cannot serve for specific reasons. Is that not what you're asking, Mark?
Yeah, I guess. So a little inconclusive, but it more or less says it.
Well, I guess Bill's just looking for some clarification so that he knows what to ask to make sure that we can put this to bed.
Well, you keep talking about things that were promised or guaranteed during your initial discussion, what was it, 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was, to BBA. So it's those...
Right, and it's right in here, Mark. We agree to accept all students from that town. That's what I said. I'm saying they said it 15 or 20 years ago. They're still saying it as of January 25th. I mean, I don't... If there's something I'm missing, then I'm asking.
Yeah, it's a couple things. One, you've talked about other things that they talked about back then. What I'm asking for is a list of what they are guaranteeing sending towns. What is it that they are putting on the table besides slightly lower tuition from their private to incentivize districts to be sending towns?
And they'll accept all students from that town. That's all I think I said. Did I say something else? I'm not sure what else I said, Mark.
Yeah, well, today I don't think you said anything else, but in prior discussions you've talked about other things that they said, and off the top of my head I don't remember it well.
Okay, I don't remember, Mark, because I just...
In minutes.
Okay, if you find it in the minutes, let me know, but I think he's told us the two things they're giving us here, which is pretty much what they said back then. I'm not sure what else I would have said. So,
Rich, you have Laura next, and then you have a hand from a phone number, and if I can get the person's name from the phone number, that would be helpful after Laura.
okay, let's go to Laura, and then I just want to check with Kate too, because we haven't heard from Kate in a while. Make sure she's still with us.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah, we do.
So I wanted to add to my request. I think we are talking about the towns that are listed on the website. I'm happy to have that be the basis of this inquiry, since they are geographically proximate to us. In addition to finding out what percentage have received scholarships or some sort of discounted to the full price tuition, I'd like to know how many students from those towns have been denied acceptance at BBA in the last 5 years.
Hang on 1 second. Bill, we're writing it here, so give us 1 second.
I got it.
Thank you.
Okay, so when you get it all done, will you just read it back? And we'll
Yeah,
make sure.
so in addition to Lori's original request, she would like to add how many students have been denied acceptance in the last 5 years?
From those same towns.
From the
From the towns that are listed.
not the sending towns, the towns that haven't agreed to.
Because the sending towns, they take everyone. So it's the towns that aren't sending towns that they can deny admission to and that they charge full price for. So I want to understand what percentage of the non-sending towns that are listed have the students have gotten scholarships and or any negotiation in price has happened. And also, how many students from those towns have been denied admission in the last 5 years?
And if you remember, we did ask that question at the initial meeting when they came down and talked to us, and we never were able to get that from them back then. So it'll be interesting
Yeah,
if
I'm sure that,
they can
yeah,
give us
I'm
that
sure.
now.
yeah, if we're asking for a flat number, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Richard. I apologize.
Bill, so we've got that written down, so we'll email you that after the meeting to make sure the question's
Okay.
right. So you're all set. Kate, are you good?
I am good.
Okay, Bill, you said we had a phone number they wanted to speak.
Yes, you have a hand from the phone number 753-6771.
Can you?
Pretty sure that was the same.
Hi, this is Amelia.
All
My
right.
speaker just isn't working. It's Amelia Nick.
Got it. Thanks, Amelia.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I feel like I've made it clear in the past that I'm a fan of the Burton sending, but I also just saw something on the website when I was looking at it under tuition fee and financial aid that I thought might be important to add because it says everything that you guys have said so far, but then there's a big important note. And it says, please be aware that financial aid awards do not cover special education services for students who attend Burton as private pay students, those who live outside of Burton's traditional sending towns. If your child currently receives support services as outlined within an IEP or educational support plan of any kind beyond those provided to the general student population, a parent or guardian will be billed and held responsible for the cost of these additional services. Additionally, if your child is not currently on an educational support plan, but it is determined that they would benefit from special services, their parent or guardian would also be responsible for those costs. And that's something that they said on the website is for the non-traditional sending town students. So I just wanted to, I saw that as well, just thought it might be helpful or important to this conversation. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Hey, Bill,
Richard?
hang on a second, Bill. Bill.
Yes?
So didn't Wyndham Central, though, vote not to allow tuition students in because of something along that same line?
That is correct. We do not allow tuition students in from outside the SU because if you are not from a sending town, then when you accept, you are responsible as a public school for the costs associated with an IEP.
And it's not sending towns, it's the members of the SU, the member towns of the SU. We won't accept a tuition student from outside of our SU, because if they are from Brattleboro and we tuition them into Marlboro, then we would be responsible for any special ed, any IEP costs.
That's from an operating district. Coming from a non-operating district, they cover the special ed costs.
And I think that's important for people to understand too, that, we've limited, because this was, we had to actually vote a few years ago to allow a person who was already tuitioning from outside the SU into one of our member schools, because nobody at the SU level felt it was fair to let them partake for several years and then say you can't do it anymore after next year. So we also, as public schools, limit who can come into our district. Laura, you I think asked to speak again.
Yeah. Are we able to do that for students with special education needs within the SU?
No, the SU is responsible for all IEPs, the implementation of all IEPs, not the individual schools anymore. So that's why we had a limit. That's why it was suggested that we limit that, because that opened us up for a lot of liability. We can't. So if you operate a school and you accept tuition, so 25 or 30 years ago, We had a gentleman that lived in Wilmington that wanted his child to go to Dover School for 5th and 6th grade. So we allowed that person to come in. We can't do that anymore. They pay tuition directly as a family because then the district assumes all responsibility for anything that child needs. And
Right.
but if you're a total tuitioning district, a non-operating district, maybe like Mount Holly, can't imagine Mount Holly has a school. Maybe they do. Then do they have a school? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. So Wernersville or Goose City, there's no school there, and so
There's a school in Goose City.
not anymore. It doesn't operate. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have a school like a Wardsboro, a Stratton, then wherever you send your child to, then the district is responsible for all those costs.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Is everybody okay?
Including if it's to BBA.
Sorry. Try that again, Mark.
Including if it's to BBA. So where they're saying on their website that family would be responsible, that's not necessarily the case. If they're a non-operating district that's sending a student to BBA, then the sending SU still can be responsible for those costs.
I don't know. Again, maybe that's something Bill can find out. I just know Wyndham Central because, we've had numerous discussions on it, and we've actually had to make some hard decisions at the SU level in the past. So
Yeah, I know that we pay because we have non-operating grades. And so when you have non-operating grades that go to those schools, you follow the IEP and you pay for whatever services are necessary. I think what the scenario that has been laid out is I have a high school. I live in Rutland. I could go to that high school in Rutland. I choose not to. My family chooses not to. My family chooses to pay tuition to a private institution, whether it's BBA or St. Johnsbury or Rice. They make that choice, but they are an operating district. That's the difference. And so therefore, I believe the disclaimer on the BBA website, without doing more research than 90 seconds of listening to this conversation, is they're just pointing out that if you choose to bring your child here, then you are going to be responsible for any costs above and beyond just the tuition that you're paying if you are not from a non-operating school district.
Non-sending.
Is everybody okay with? Are we good with the discussion? Is it as clear as mud to everyone? Okay, hearing nothing. Oh, go ahead. Okay, so thank you for that discussion, folks. Let's move on to new school logos, Mark. So, Mark, you want to put them up on the screen?
What's the IB? Is that what we were just talking about? The IB secondary?
Yeah. IB secondary. Oh no, I'm sorry, Mark. I got off track. IB secondary school. Mark asked for this to be added to the agenda. I thought we were on the new school logos. So this is the Mark Schauber section of the agenda. So Mark, talk about IB secondary school discussion.
So, being in IB school, Dover being IB school, I think that it would benefit us and behooves us to talk about possibility of partnering with a middle and high school IB secondary school. Given that Leland and Gray is currently going through, I believe, a NEASC accreditation, or going to be going through it. NEASC has partnered with IB and are now an accrediting agency for IB. I thought it would benefit us to at least have a discussion about approaching Leland and Gray, about partnering with them to be a IB secondary school. That would be a huge benefit to our students going forward. So that's the crux of the discussion I wanted to have.
Okay, so I do know that one of the things that was a lot of discussion when the IB was first presented to us was that we'll do it at the elementary level, but where do you go from there? And being a tuitioning town, we thought, well, there's one or two IB high schools in Vermont, but nothing locally. Is that no? There's no IB.
No, there are. There's
Middlebury?
Is Middlebury?
Middlebury and Long Trail.
Yeah.
There's one current IB K-12, and there's going to be a second one coming up in the near future.
Okay, so that had been a discussion, but I also think that Mark makes a very good point, because if Leland and Gray is looking at doing something, if they were to do that, that could actually, parents and students that really like the IB in 6th grade could then move on and stay in there. So if I can make a suggestion, Mark, it was a great thing you brought up, but I'm not punishing you, but would you be able to put a letter together that we can send to the West River Board? Because that's definitely a decision that would be the West River Board's. And I do know that they're doing some structure stuff now. They're working on, like you said, they just decided it. We heard from the superintendent to be, I don't know what you call them, but that they are looking at accreditation, Mark, so it would be a good time. So can you put a letter together to submit to the board, and the board can approve it to send to the West River Board?
Yep, I can do that.
And then we'll approve that at the next meeting. Does anybody have a problem with that? I think it's a good thought. It's a continuation. We can also mention that we have a great STEAM program in our Wardsboro campus, and if they could incorporate IB and STEAM, it's all the better, and it may encourage more families to tuition to Leland and Gray. I think that would be a really good move. And then if Leland and Gray says no, we've got other local high schools we could try. Or maybe Matt and Tammy want to be a K-12 district and start a high school, but I think that would go down in flames. So I can't see, is there any other comments, any questions, any thoughts you could write?
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I think it's a great idea. Mark, you mentioned about they're going through some kind of accreditation. Is that they're trying to determine, what did he say they were trying to do? What's Leland Grill? They're just trying to...
They used to be accredited under the former principal. They gave up the accreditation.
Yeah.
So they have decided that they want to become an accredited school again. So they go through a process.
For IB?
No, just for high school accreditation.
Oh, I see. So okay.
So that's something that the board and the group has decided to move forward.
Oh, yeah.
So what Mark's saying is they're very similar paths.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get accredited, you could possibly still get accredited for IB. So let's just bring it up to them.
Have they been approached in the past to try to be IB or no?
Not that.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Bill, you aren't aware of that, are you?
No, I don't believe there's been an approach for that conversation.
We actually never thought of it. We talked about the lack of a secondary place for students to go.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought Mark's idea was fantastic.
Yeah. I thought about that when we were doing the merger. Really good idea. So,
I can't see Kate or Chad or Laura. Are you guys any comments? Are you good with that?
I'm digesting this news. This is kind of cool that Leland and Gray is looking at doing those types of things. And, if they were to go the IB route or, incorporate some STEAM elements, that definitely makes them a really attractive option. To me, as long as we preserve options for families, that's a great thing. And any school that wants to come forward with some great options for the students, I think is a big win for everybody.
Thank you, Kate. Chad or Laura?
Sounds good.
Thank you, Laura. Chad, are you?
I agree. I agree that, and I think I've said this, earlier on as well, that without a continuation track for the elementary students to continue in the IB process, it's unfortunate, especially for those that do excel, within that model.
Thank you, Chad. So, Mark, I think you're good to head down the pike on that one and get something to us.
All right, I'll put something together.
Okay, thank you. Good thinking, buddy. So the Mark section of the agenda, new school logos.
So we've got, give me a second, I've got to bring it up. So
Very colorful.
You should be seeing the RVUSD logo. The original design, and Matt, forgive me, I can't remember our teacher's name. What's her name?
Miss Hughes. Katie Hughes.
So Ms. Hughes designed this logo for us in pencil, I believe, maybe pen, and it was digitized by Edgeworks. Yeah, so this is our new district logo. Hopefully everybody likes it. It was created from within, which I think is something that is unique and something we can be really proud of.
So do we need to vote on this, or are you just letting us know, Mark?
We're just letting you know.
Because I have a couple comments if nobody else does. If nobody else does, my only comment was I think, Mark, you had told me when we talked one time that there was the artwork, the part in, with the sun and the mountains was designed, and I just thought if there was a person that did it, we should give them credit, and maybe we can just do somewhere designed by, it can be like in little letters on the bottom or something, but is that something we can do, or is that not appropriate?
So we can't do it on the logo itself, but we could put it someplace on the website.
Okay, I just think it would be nice that when it was done, so in the future people say, how long has that logo been around? And I also think to give credit to the person, because it's pretty crafty. I like the idea, River Valleys. And I'm really glad we didn't do the other name, not connected by dirt roads, because that may have been a little harder to draw.
Mud roads. Yeah.
So is everybody okay with that? Are there any other comments for Mark? Then, Mark, you said we got the Wardsboro one on the next page.
Oh, Rich, you have a comment from Mr. Block?
Okay. Public was already covered, I think. So let's see. Let's get through this with the board, and then we'll put him on. This is really difficult tonight. Mark, the Wardsboro one is all set. Are you happy? Is there any questions on that? And who designed that?
Same
person?
Yeah.
Okay.
She did this one first, and then we really liked her style, so we asked her to do the River Valleys one as well.
Okay.
You should be seeing it now.
Yep, Mark's got it up. So if we can do the same thing with that, and are there any other comments on the Wardsboro one? And then, if not, what about the Dover one? So is that coming? Is that same person or somebody else?
So the main graphical portion of the logo is going to be the IB logo, but we're still working with Edgeworks to figure out exactly how that's going to be presented. So we don't have that for you at this point.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So is the board all set? Any comments from the board?
Oh, Chad has his hand up, and then I'll go after Chad.
Okay, so Chad and Kate, and then if there's nobody else, we'll let the public weigh in.
Thanks, Rich. I'm just going to add, with the logos, as you saw what Marcus put up as a rectangular logo, we will be asking Edgeworks to also create a square logo, because we'll need both for marketing packets moving forward.
Can we get stickers too? And t-shirts?
T-shirts.
Yep, matter of fact, I know the Wardsboro School Club is waiting for the final delivery of the Wardsboro logo to create spirit wear for the 2023-24 school years.
Oh, excellent. And just so you know, because you guys couldn't see it, but Dwight and I could because we're live, Matt wants a plastic water bottle with the logo on it too.
I want a blanket.
Oh, and Tammy wants a blanket because she's cold. You want my Coke, Tammy? Chad, thank you. Go ahead, Kate.
I think I really like that you guys worked with the art teacher with the logo development, and then with Edgeworks to digitize it. That was great. And Rich's idea of doing some type of little informational call out on the website about how the logos came to be and the creator sounds really cool. But those look great. Thank you guys. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
The other thing is, if we can do it as a one-off, I'll even pay for it, is let's get these on a shirt to present to the art teacher, and thanks for doing that.
That would be really special.
Yeah. Okay, hey, is the board all set? You all set, sir? If the board's all set, you said, Bill, we had one parent or a public or somebody?
Yes, Mr. Block had his hand up.
Mr. Block, sir, how are you?
I'm good, Rick. How are you? Thank you for letting me speak. I just being the nitpicky lawyer, I love the logos. I think they're great. I can't wait to buy some clothing with them. I do just want to make sure if you don't have a release from Ms. Hughes that you get one.
I was going to ask about that, copywriting it so that like somebody doesn't use it to advertise something that may not be appropriate for a school.
It's a pretty standard release. It's just to make sure that all of her rights in the logo and the design are turned over to the school in perpetuity. Your lawyer can do it for you. It's something that could come back to bite you down the road.
Well, but what about like copywriting it too, to make sure, like when I try to do my Living the Dream in Vermont t-shirt, I got told by an attorney that I couldn't use Bob Newhart's face in that because it was copyrighted.
Well, the state can't hold a copyright, so neither can a school. So a state school anyway. Well, who knows? Actually, let me not opine on a legal matter in Vermont. I'm not going to do that. But it's more important for your purposes and for not having to fix mistakes later on that the author of the work grants a release, which I'm sure she won't have any problem doing.
So, anyway. Bill, can you work on that for us?
I could definitely look into it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Block, thank you for your thoughts, and we appreciate your input, sir.
No problem. Thank you.
Mark, anything else on the logos front or back?
Chad
Nope.
has his.
Who?
Chad.
Go ahead, Chad.
So Rich and Alan, I appreciate you bringing up that thought, because as Richard said, if we could write, include a byline for the logo, that could insinuate ownership. And the question, I think, for Bill, as we discussed, release with attorney, is whether or not this is constituted as a work product, given that she is misused as an employee of the school district. So just that language, I think, would go along hand in hand, as Mr. Block suggested, and appreciate his background profession to give us some additional guidance for the public.
Thank you, Chad.
Rich?
Yes, Mark?
Bill, if you're going to be speaking to the lawyer about it, you probably want to give him a copy of the contract that we have with Edgeworks, because they're the creator, not the designer, but the creator of both of these. And their contract does give us work product ownership. But it's just one more layer of complication that may need to be addressed if we're going to get a release.
So, like, if we chose not to use Edgework in the future, we may lose our logos.
No. We own the
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. But Bill, do you understand what Mark's looking for?
Yeah, Mark, can you send me a copy of the contract?
I don't know if I ever got one. I have the original proposal. I'll take a look.
Thank you.
I think that was done by through the central office.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, I'll check.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Mark, are you good, sir?
With logos, yeah, all good.
Okay, so if everybody's good on logos, does anybody else have any new business? Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
I'm going to send you an email from last year about the fire district wanting less kilowatt hours from the solar array. Can you have your financial office just see if we have use for those kilowatt hours, or if we should see if we can put them somewhere else?
All right. Fire district kilowatt hours.
Yeah. They want to give up, I forget what they want to give up, but they want to give up like a certain percentage because they've, lost, they haven't used all their credits.
Okay, send me the email and I will run it through the business office.
Yeah, and I want to just make sure, now that we've been out of COVID for 2 years, or we've been really full-time for 2 years, that we're not losing a lot of credits. I know we had some because of COVID, but I just want to see where we stand so we can make an informed decision at one of our next meetings.
Okay.
Rich?
Yes, Mark?
I apologize for bringing this up now because it was a question that I had under financials, but you just brought up solar, so I've got a financial-ish question in regards to that. Do you mind if I...
No, go ahead.
raise it? So in going over the financials for today, I noticed there were two relatively substantially large invoices to the solar company that we paid. I want to make sure that we are paying them for our power and not also paying Green Mountain Power, or if we're getting substantial credits through Green Mountain Power. At one point I had asked to see the GMP invoices and we never got them. So I'm just, that was like $3,000 or $4,000 going out the door to the solar company for just 2 months.
Yeah,
just wanted to make sure that I understand where that money's coming from and going to.
So what happens is that because you need to have a meter, so the solar company doesn't have a meter. So we agreed to a certain percentage. So what happens is every month we get a bill from Green Mountain Power. The bill is usually in a negative number, so it shows a credit because we generated power. So I'm trying to find it, Mark, and I don't see it in this packet. Are you sure there was one in here? What was the name of the...
There were two. Give me a second.
Should we hold the First Light fiber invoices since they let us down? So anyways, what happens is we get a credit, and then we have to pay 85% of that credit to the to the people that own the solar array. And then that's the same with the fire district. And are we up with internet?
I think so.
We may be up, guys. Hang on a sec.
That's right.
It's Greenbacker Renewable Energy Corporation.
Yeah, I don't see a Mark in this.
Mark, which of the sets of invoices was that in?
It's the one that says 2623 RVACH.pdf. And it's page 20 and 21.
Because there's one, now Wardsboro has a whole different deal with their solar, and I've never understood their deal because they got involved with the Newbrook array, and it's
Right,
set up.
over.
Yeah, okay, Mark, I'm not seeing it. So let me, if it's okay, I do have in my other bag that I didn't bring, I do have a year's worth of bills, so I can show you that, and we can bring that up at the next meeting. And it looks like we're on TV again. But so yeah, that's what happens is we don't pay to Green Mountain Power per se. We get a credit from Green Mountain Power, and we pay a percentage of that credit to Greenbacker, even if we don't use it. That's where the fire district was getting getting concerned. Just look and see if you see it.
Recording in progress.
It was me.
Hey folks, can you give us 1 second?
Let's go to that.
That's
Yeah.
Probably hang up now.
thank you.
think you're unmuted on my end.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you guys hear us, Mark and Kate and Laura, Chad? I can't see it. They give me some thumbs
Hey, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, so
They might not be able to hear
So
you.
this is on the invoice sent from Donna today, right?
Correct.
Okay, because there were 3 different sets,
They should be.
invoices 1, 2, and 3, and I'm just trying to figure out where you are.
I was just, this is the 2623 2623 RVACH file was an attachment to the email.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, not a link.
Mark, can you hear us? Mark?
They should be able to hear you.
Hello?
It's coming through.
Yeah, but if Bill's the host,
It should, since it's working as a speaker, it should be working as a mic as well. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
hey, Mark or Kate.
They can't see you though. Something's
You
wrong
said
with the
page
camera.
20 on that?
20 and 21, I believe.
Jump out and jump back in the meeting. Try.
Do you have it? That's a word.
Will we lose
Oh, this is
Wardsboro?
Wardsboro. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think they're
They
trying
don't
to
have,
go
they don't have one
to
flipped over this
I
month.
can unplug this so if you guys want to talk.
The,
about this, I don't know what's going on.
Wi-Fi instead of Tammy's phone.
Nope.
I'll unplug this for a second.
Sounds good.
It's going through here.
I don't know.
Mark may have seen a different one. And
I mean,
maybe.
I have similar bill at my house. They just, it's all in the bill.
Are you guys able to hear?
us? Yes.
Oh, she said yes. She can hear yours, but I don't know if she can hear mine because they weren't.
Can you hear me?
It's coming through there right now. We probably should have just done this thing. I'll re-sign back in.
To err is human.
It's really screwed up.
It's the way of the world.
Now Mark is talking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, we're just getting
You
cable
will
reconnected.
be in a second.
Recording in progress.
Echo, 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 echo.
They should be able to hear you.
Can you hear me, Mark?
Yes, it sounds like you're yelling.
Okay, well, no, because I've been yelling for the last 5 minutes, but nobody answered me.
He's yelling.
Hey, Mark, we looked through here while we were gone, and we only see the one for Wardsboro. So,
It's in the PDF document that's labeled 2623 RVACH.pdf.
can you put it
One
up?
of the attachments to it was one of the attachments to email, not a link, but an attachment to the email.
Bill, can you put that up real quick for us?
I have no idea what it is, but I'll give permission to Mark and he can put it up.
Mark, will you put
I
it
can
up?
put it up.
Okay, please, thank you.
Yep. Give me 1 second to open the document again.
Well,
It's nice to see Amelia back in our meetings.
Yeah, that is nice.
they won't be able to see you until you guys go to executive session, so I can figure out what's
Okay,
because I have to turn the camera off.
as long as they can hear us.
They can hear you fine,
Okay.
I think. I hope.
Mark, while you're pulling that up, can we just do the consent agenda?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, go ahead and put it up then if you can, sir.
So I thought I had it.
See, technology's getting the best of you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Tammy, we don't care if they can see us.
Yeah, they're better off.
See, Mark looks very confused, doesn't he?
I can't find the window for some reason. It's there. Close this other crap down.
Well, while Mark's trying to figure this out, I have for the consent agenda, Kate has done a great job for us in taking notes. It's not, it definitely doesn't have the Peter flair. But Kate, thank you very much for doing this. I know it's not fun. I've done it for a while. But we have her minutes from the January 9th and January 23rd meeting. Are there any comments on those? Anything anybody saw that was really bad?
Yeah, on the first one, it said that I gave the report on the website implementation committee and it was Matt.
Okay.
And I'd like it noted that that was the day that we had the discussion on the letter that Dwight wrote, and I'd like it noted that I believe that was an op-ed.
You would like it noted that you feel it's an op-ed, that
Yep.
Mark believes it's an op-ed. Is that appropriate language for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that way it's just, you can do it in one sentence.
I will make those 2 adjustments to the first set of minutes.
Is there anything else from anybody else?
Chad's hand is up.
Go ahead, Chad.
Thank you. A quick question on that, because, we discussed that, and Mark, you certainly brought up that you felt it was an op-ed, and then we had agreed to language changes. Are you now disagreeing that the language changes that we put forth still make it, or do not take it out of?
Yeah, it did not, the changes that we discussed did not change my opinion on it. I made that clear at that meeting. I still thought it was an op-ed. I thought that what I said was I thought we needed time to go through it.
I thought we voted.
We voted on it.
To a
Those 2
unilateral
meetings ago,
decision
though.
was my understanding. Rich, is that correct or incorrect?
I thought we voted on it. You made a suggested change. We put it in there, and then we voted on it. I thought.
It's the previous meeting.
I don't have those notes in front of me.
And previously all of our minutes had been quite detailed, that there was no reason for me to say I want this to be noted in the minutes.
Well, and that's why I made a point, Mark, to include the link to the recording. So if anybody has any interest in viewing any of those meetings, they are more than welcome to go and view the discussion. But I didn't want to put things in as a board member that might seem like I'm calling somebody out or I have an opinion on something. I want the minutes to stand how they are. And if people want to so if you want me to put that you want it noted, I can put that note, but I don't want to insert notes and then have people feel like I'm calling them out for something that they didn't feel the same information as. Does that make sense?
I do want it noted, and I'm just saying because I assumed that our minutes were going to be continued the way they had, there was no reason for me to mention that I had wanted it on the record. And while I understand that we've got the recordings, asking somebody to watch an hour, 2-3 hour, meeting is very different than saying, here are minutes that you can read in 5 minutes and, see everything that happened during a meeting. So they're not quite the same.
Hey, Matt.
No, and it's not designed to be.
Is Amelia working for the district? Yeah. Hey, Amelia. Amelia. Hey, Amelia, I don't know if you're in one of the schools tomorrow, but talk to whoever's in the school. We may have something for you to do. Let's see if she'd be interested in doing minutes. If she's an employee of the school, it'd be easy just to add her in if she has any interest.
I think we have somebody here tonight doing minutes.
Oh, you do? Who?
Yeah, Meredith.
Oh,
great.
Okay.
Hand up.
Hey, Meredith, I'm sorry. I was not aware you were doing minutes. Go ahead.
I'm here. I'm doing minutes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. We really appreciate it. Trust me.
Oh, I'm happy to do it.
So
I'll hopefully get some feedback from the first time, and then yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Okay, so Tammy will also send you. I don't know if you got the notes that we made on some to make sure we got the questions right and stuff. We'll get them to you to make sure they're right in the minutes, and then hopefully you got this discussion from that what Mark would like to see in there. So
Okay.
And what I always do, I wasn't aware you were there, I'm very sorry, but I usually, before we actually have the vote, I ask the minute taker to read the motion just to make sure that we got it right and that you have time enough to get it.
Okay. So
Okay.
we can. Which part was that for?
Well, if somebody makes a motion, and sometimes the motions are more than just I vote that we make Richie the benevolent dictator, they're more involved, so we just make sure they read that that before we actually do the vote that you have the motion as it was stated.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that's good. Yes, definitely.
Okay. So Mark, does this have the Green Mountain sheet with it?
No, the Green Mountain Power bills were not, well, unless they were in a different file. They were not included in this document.
Okay, so we will get that, and then, yes, this is not the document we want to see. This is one of them. We want to also have the Green Mountain bill too, so we'll get that for the next meeting.
Great.
Okay, so could you just email me that one page so I remember it?
Yeah, it was 2 pages.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I will email them to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Meredith, do you have a question or?
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm sorry, I saw your hand up.
I did that before.
Okay, no, that's fine. So I think on the consent agenda with those changes that we're good with the minutes of the January 9th and 23rd meeting. I had no correspondence. So I think it's time for us to move into the, what, I'm sorry.
Chad.
Go ahead, Chad.
Was just going to address Mark a little bit on the invoices from Greenbrier that we're talking about. So for utilizing solar, the net metering credit, that is what is given back to the Dover school for basically hosting that solar array. And our discount, so that net metering credit, the entire bit would generally go back to the energy producer. And we are getting a credit on that. So the net metering savings, if you're looking at that number represents 15% of the total net metering credit. And the solar incentive savings represents 15% of the solar incentive credit.
But we still send $4,000 in 2 checks to Greenback, whatever I closed the files, so I don't have it open. So I'm still trying to figure out the process of money coming in and out, and having not seen the Green Mountain Power bills, that's where I'm concerned that we're sending money out, but are we getting in more?
Are we getting the discounts that we should by utilizing solar energy? And I agree, and that's what what was first brought into this. That's what was very confusing to me, was why are we not getting the full amount of credit? But essentially, I think if we look at this and we say, all right, the Dover School's energy bill is $10,000. We're getting back, for ease of numbers, we're getting back, oh gosh, not easy numbers, $3,000.
About 25%.
Perfect. So if we're getting back out of that 10,000, we get a credit of 4,000. Then we're we are going to retain 1,000 of that and give the other 3,000. So 75% of the credit, in the actual numbers, 85% of the credit received goes back to the producer.
But what we don't have are the Green Mountain Power bills to know what we are spending.
Correct.
That's why Rich will provide those to us, so we've got that comparison.
So basically, our power bill would be higher if we didn't have the solar. We would write a check for more money to Green Mountain Power instead of to Greenbacker. But we'll get those bills. I think it'll all be as clear as mud. A lot of mud tonight.
A lot of mud. It's not even mud season.
Yeah. Okay, so if we got nothing else, if everybody's good up on the TV land,
Bill's got his cup of coffee.
Bill,
Oh, I see that, yes.
Coffee icon.
where? Oh, so okay, then I think it's a beer, but I'm not sure. Can we make a motion to move into executive session for academic record suspension or discipline of students?
That's one that's on the agenda, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I move, Kate, move to find that the premature general public knowledge regarding academic records or suspension or discipline of students would put the board at substantial disadvantage because the school boards risk disclosing private student information if discussed in public.
And do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Meredith, this is on the agenda, so you should be able to just copy it right from the agenda.
I did. Yeah, I got that.
Okay,
I just copied it word for word.
thank you.
The quote.
Yep. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 And then I would like to make,
Well, hang on, I just was waiting for Laura. It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. Go ahead, Kate.
and then I would like to make a second motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I, Section 313 of the Vermont Statutes for Academic Records or Suspension or Discipline of Students 313A1.
Do I have a second?
So seconded.
Go ahead, Chad. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. So at 7:42, by unanimous consent, we came out of executive session. So we discussed in executive session some specific incidences that have been happening with students in the schools. So that was some background for a request that our administrators would like to make. So I'll turn it over to the administrators.
So thank you for listening. We are in agreement that we would like to request some more classroom support, possibly some behavior support, and increase our student school counseling program as quickly as possible, funding using some ESSER money and some ARP money to try to get things moving quickly so we can provide greater support for our students and staff.
Okay, so do you have specific requests?
We do not have specific requests at this point. Actually, no, that's not true. We do. I would like to request that we move forward with hiring the counseling position that we've requested for next year as soon as possible. And I'd like to try to get 2 full-time staff members added who can help provide behavior supports and interventions on a regular basis with Dover students.
So you're looking for a counseling position in the Wardsboro building.
We're looking to increase counseling to full-time in Dover and
We're at a 0.4.
0.4 in Wardsboro.
And what are you at now?
We're at 0.6 and 0.4. So we're at a 1.0 position that we have proposed for next year to increase to 1.4.
And I would recommend for Wardsboro for that to increase as well.
Beyond 0.4.
Yes, beyond the 0.4.
To what?
To a 0.6.
So we would be looking from a 1.0 to a 1.6.
Right.
And then what you said 2 other positions in the Dover building?
I'd like to request support for 2 positions for behavior support, classroom support.
And so what is that, like a general classroom assistant, or is it a certified? I mean, if you could just kind of explain.
Yeah, it's like trying to find bus drivers now, like Bill has mentioned. It's hard to get, we're all vying for the same folks. So It'd be nice to have a behavior interventionist or somebody with behavior support skills to support some of the behavior needs that we're seeing.
Okay. And you feel that that can be funded with grant funds that we haven't assigned yet?
I feel like we can fund some of this with grant funds, but not all, and we haven't done all of the math out. We'd have to bring that to you.
Okay, so I know there's probably be some questions, so I know Laura, you had some, and Chad, I think, so why don't we let Chad go and then Laura.
Rich, I'm all set because you asked the questions that I was going to ask of Matt as far as what that, certainly understand the credentials that the counselor would require. But Matt was, I think, clear enough, for me anyhow, to what he's looking for the in-classroom behavior support also.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand the numbers, the time frame, and where the assistance is happening. So 1.6 at the counselor combined between the two campuses, 2 full-time behavioral, just in Dover?
Just in Dover.
Correct.
2 full-time, okay? And do we need any in Wardsboro?
It would be helpful. I would say one person would make a big difference.
So you're actually really looking at a 2.4 increase with what Matt said, unless you want to increase another person in Wardsboro. Is
two full-time classroom behavior folks, and then a 0.6 counseling increase.
Okay.
2.6.
Are the 2 behavioral people something that can float between the 2 buildings and assist when they're needed? Or does it have to be 1 in one building and 2 in another building?
It's really, it really depends on the situation, and when something comes up, it usually comes up quick.
Okay.
So,
Laura, go ahead and finish up your questions.
Yeah, so my question about timing, I want to make sure that I'm hearing this. We want these immediately, correct?
correct.
Thank you. And my next question is to make sure that we are, well, I have 2 questions actually. So one is if these positions will provide assistance and relief to students and staff, or just students?
The request was student-based.
Students, which will, of course,
Okay.
it will relieve staff as well, but the focus would be working with students.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that we are caring for our staff as well. So I want to make sure that there's an element of this that is also caring for our staff, which I think I am hearing there is, that additional capacity would be helpful for our staff.
Correct.
Question mark?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, great. And then I guess, Richard, it's really important to me that this sounds, from what we've been hearing, more systemic, not an isolated issue in our state. And so I would like us to really ask that we hear back from our superintendent, and that our superintendent let the state know that we need to understand what systemic response is going to look like and the timetable for that. That's, I think, all that I have to say, except that I support this request in the strongest possible way. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Kate and then Mark, if you have any comments.
I echo Laura, like we definitely need to support our students, our teachers, and our administration. The effects that we've seen in the last couple of years are just really coming to the light now, and we really just need to make sure that everybody's supported so that we can create the best possible environment for everyone involved.
Thank you, Kate. Mark, go ahead, sir.
So I agree with that. My concern is in our ability to actually hire people with the experience and credentialing that that those jobs would require. This is definitely a systemic issue, locally, statewide, nationally, and not just in the academic realm. And I think that putting positions out there for hire, we need to make sure that we are really competitive in the salaries that we're offering in order to bring people on board. I could very easily see positions just going stagnant in School Spring, as thousands of other positions have across the state for a long time. So I want to make sure that we're considering that when we are giving the administration the ability to do this. And second, I want to make sure that we're giving them flexibility. So if we can't find behavioralists for the classrooms, and this is a comment/question, would having more paras be helpful? Or just, if we can't get what we want, are more bodies better than none? I hate putting it that way, but.
Hey, Mark, let me just comment on those two things real quick. So one thing that our contract does allow is for the board with the administration to, we don't have a salary schedule, so they can, for hard to fill positions, offer more money. So there is flexibility there, so that does exist. And I think it's good for you to bring that up so that it reminds them of that. And that was why I asked the question earlier, do you need certified people? Is it just bodies? And so I think, too, that if we come out of this, or part of that can be to express to them that, tell us what you got and, let's do the best we can. Like you said, something may be better than nothing, even though it might not be the ideal of what we want. So I think that's some really great points. But is there anything else?
I've got two other things. In regard to the counselor, and this sort of goes along the similar lines to the salary comment. I think we should seriously consider making this a 1.0 position and not a 0.6 position, for all the obvious reasons. And then the last is kind of a question, because I feel like there's still a hanging Chad, nothing personal, Chad, in regards to this. Are we looking at 3 behavioralists at this point, or are we looking at 2? Because I'm a little unclear as to whether we are moving forward with one for the Woodsboro building.
Well, I think you guys are asking for to increase in the Dover campus this counselor to 1, to put at least a 0.6 counselor in Wardsboro, and to have 2 behavior people in Dover and 1 in Wardsboro.
Correct.
But if you could find 1 full-time counselor, that could take
Yes.
some of the behavioralists.
Yes.
And the same with you if you can increase that. So I think, Mark, I think whatever we do, we should kind of leave a little bit loose so they can be creative. Does that work for you?
That's essentially what I was saying in a nutshell.
So they're shaking their heads if you can't see them.
I can't see them, so thank you.
Okay. Are you all set, Mark?
I am, yes.
Dwight, you all good?
I'm all set. I'm to support the administrators as well.
So I think what you're hearing is you've got a lot of support. I think we need to just see some numbers. I think you have, I don't know if we need to make a motion because it may be grant money. But I think that if the administration along with Bill can look and see what we can do, again, because we're in one district, we can share in between the district. Maybe you find one person that maybe you have to split, but it's better than nothing again. Can you just put some numbers together for us and send that out just so we kind of know how much can come out of any grants and then how much we have to account for in the budget? We did review with Lori at a couple meetings ago, and it does look like we're going to finish the year with a surplus, so that is an appropriate use of that. And I think if it's not something that was an expenditure, the board will just need to approve the expenditure once you know what it is. Bill, I don't think it's go ahead, Bill, and then Chad. I'm sorry,
I
guys.
just wanted to clarify that the board is giving permission to the administration to go find these positions. They will then come back and let you know how much they are investing, how much is coming from grants, and how much is going to come from local funds. But they don't have to wait. They can go ahead and start looking for these positions.
That's what I'm hoping everybody's going to agree to, Bill.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Well, let's. So Chad,
make that a motion.
Mark, Chad had his hand up, and then I'll get back to you, please.
Sorry.
No problem. Go ahead,
So,
Chad.
Mark, we're on the same page. I was going to say, as Mark has alluded to, the fact that finding qualified personnel is going to be very difficult given the status of the world that we're in right now, that I was going to ask to make a motion for Matt and Tammy to begin the search process immediately. And then, as you said, Rich, to come back after the fact with how we're going to break down the finances for these positions once we find outstanding people to support our school community from top to bottom.
So, Mark, there was a motion there. Will you second that motion, or is that good for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely second it.
Okay, Meredith,
Thank you.
Did you get that motion that Chad made and Mark seconded?
I did. Can you say it one more time just so I make sure I have it right?
Absolutely.
Exactly what the motion is?
Yes. I make a motion to have Matt and Tammy engage the search process to increase the counselor positions and seek out new behavioral interventionists for both campuses.
Okay.
Mark, that's what you seconded, correct?
Yes, and to come back to us with numbers.
Yeah, you did say that, Chad. Is that good?
Yes.
So, Meredith, can you read it back and then we'll make sure we got it?
Yeah, the motion has been made for Matt and Tammy to engage in a search process for counselors and behavioral staff. Was that it? Immediately?
Yes, and then
I believe you said.
And then to come back with the financial implications to the board. Is everybody?
Okay.
So you're all set, Meredith?
I am set.
Okay, so Chad, you made the motion and Mark, you seconded, so you guys get the first. If there's any other discussion or you want to say anything else about it.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Bill has his hand up.
Yeah, I see that. Mark, go ahead. Do you have anything?
Yeah, just one last thing, that because we don't meet again until March, not that you can be able to find anybody that fast, but if you can, let's hold a emergency or special meeting.
Thank you. That's very appropriate. Bill, go ahead.
No, that was exactly what I was going to suggest, is that if we find people, be prepared for a fast special meeting for employees to be brought forth to the board. So, Mark, thank you.
But, Bill, I believe if you're going to fund it, if they find one and you're funding it with grant money, we give the superintendent permission to use grant money without approval of the board, correct?
You do, and you do that annually. You do not have enough grant money to fund one of these positions. So
Okay. Well, that
will not be the case.
Well, we don't know what we're going to find either. So
I'm confident you don't have enough grant money to fund one of the positions.
Bill, you got to look a little harder. So just sharpen that pencil on the grant funds.
Yeah.
But Is there any other discussion on the motion? So
Not on the motion, but I still have something to say.
okay. So yeah, I was just going to add that if we move this forward, I know it's not always easy to come in and ask for something that wasn't budgeted for, but I appreciate how you guys are struggling. And, back going through the COVID stuff, you folks have, you two have run some, really taking care of your staff and our students, and we really appreciate it. And I think this was very appropriate. I'm glad that you and Tammy were able to bring this to us.
Thank you for your support.
Support is really important.
Let's see when we vote. 'Cause I used to be able to predict votes. I don't do that anymore. So if you're all ready to vote, all in favor, say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Okay. I know we're running a little later than I wanted to, but is there anything else, Matt and Tammy, on this topic? I know a couple board members had some comments they wanted to make.
No, thank you again for your support and taking the time to listen. And honoring the request.
I think it's important too, to recognize that this is, even the central office people are recognizing that through the district. And I think that's where Laura was trying to move, and I think with Bill mentioning that there was the House committee. So I don't know if maybe this may be something we should compose a letter as a board to our legislators to state that, our staff is struggling. We really need some help, and we need it, to come from the top down on this. So Laura, go ahead. I know you want to say something.
Yeah, you've just about taken the words out of my mouth, but I think, our communities are struggling, and it is not just our communities.
That's the first part.
Hello?
Hey, Chad, mute yourself, please. Sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, so I would like to see us with a letter, really putting some wind behind the superintendent, asking for some state level strategy here. And, I'm not sure if there's any encouragement, support, whatever we can offer to the supervisory union for kind of supervisory union level strategies, if that would be helpful, if we have a number of schools kind of grappling with this.
So can I also go to Mark? Mark, is VSBA doing anything with this? Are you aware of, or is VSBA had any discussions about it?
Both you and Laura have stolen the wind from me. Two things. One, about 5 minutes ago, I sent an email to the ED of the VSBA asking if we can put this on the agenda for our meeting on Wednesday night. So there's that. And the while it's tangentially relevant, the AOE is pushing. I think they're essentially calling it safety reform, but it has to do with behavioralists and things along those lines. So I think it would be really important that we act relatively quickly in sending letters to the both education committees as well as all of our local legislators in regards to this.
Because I was also thinking I'm going to ask Jen at the state board too to maybe have this as a topic of discussion at the next state board meeting too. And I think it was interesting. The commissioner was actually down. Bill met with him at Leland and Gray. He went to Marlboro and he was in Dover. And I don't remember him talking about that, but I think he alluded to just the hardship of education through the COVID stuff. So I think he's aware of it too, but let's try to get it really out there and really try to do a grassroots effort.
Rich?
Yes.
Did you mean the secretary?
Secretary, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I knew who you were talking about.
Mark, I don't know who I'm talking. Mr. French, not the one on TV. Is anybody else any comments on this? I think we've had a great discussion. Matt and Tammy, again, thank you for bringing this up. Bill, as always, thank you for your guidance, and thank you to the board for indulging us. I know a couple question marks there, but I think it was all appropriate, and we did a good job. So I have, if there's nothing else on this topic, Mark, do you have another motion for us?
Got two for you.
Please.
I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding labor relations agreement with employees will put the board at a substantial disadvantage because the school board's risk disclosing its negotiating strategy if the proposed contract terms are discussed in public.
Do I have a second to Mark's motion? And Meredith, we'll email you these so you don't have to write them down.
Kate seconds.
Okay, so Mark moved.
Thank you.
Kate seconded. Meredith is all set. All those.
You're gonna email it to me, right?
Mark will.
That was quick. Okay, great.
So if we're all set, all those in favor say aye.
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 Hang on a second, Galen. Not yet.
No.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. It appears to be a unanimous decision. It is. Mark, you got another motion?
I do. I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I, Section 313 of Vermont statutes for labor relations agreements with employees, 313A1.
Second?
Kate seconds.
Thank you, Kate. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Hey, Meredith, the only other thing that's important is that you just enter the time we went into executive session and then
8:07.
the time we come out.
Okay, so the time you went in to executive session, let me just get back there.
8:06, I guess.
8:06?
Sure, it's pretty close.
Rich,
And then should I mark, wait, 8:06 you went into? It's only 8:08. Is that when you went into
Oh,
executive session?
8:08. Then my watch is slow. That's why I'm always late.
It wasn't it like 20 minutes, like a half hour ago?
Well, that was the first one. This one here, we're moving in at 8:08.
Going again.
Okay.
The first
So
one
we
was,
need to,
the first one we came out at 7:42. I'm not sure what time we went in.
I had 7:20.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds about right.
Okay, so then you came out at
7:42 out of the last one.
and then 8:06 for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
We went in and we'll come out in a little while after we meet.
Okay.
So did we vote? All those in favor?
You voted.
You already voted.
Thank you. Mark, you want to make a comment?
I was just going to say, if we're not going to be making any sort of decisions, I can just send everything to Meredith afterwards. She doesn't have to hang around. Or actually, either way, I can send everything to her.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it, Meredith. Thank you and welcome to the team.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark, you'll get my email from someone?
Yes. Yeah, I'll get it from somebody.
Okay. Matt has it.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. It's nice having you. So.
Thank you.
We're into executive session. So we reviewed the information from the attorney in our proposal, and are going to send it back to him for some further clarification before moving forward. So who can make the next meeting at Dover School?
21st?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Kate or Chad or Mark?
It's vacation week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
And we're just doing an info meeting, right?
Right. It's just a live meeting at the Dover School.
I might have teammates with me, but if I can bring my teammates, I can.
Bring them
Yeah.
along.
No, bring them. I was having Tammy call you tonight if we couldn't get online to bring your kids
Bring
here.
'em in.
We'll put them to bed here.
Let's put
I
only put me to
haven't
sleep,
pulled
so
Mrs.
probably work
Bates'
for
card
them.
tonight to be like, oh, guys, I'm going to tell Mrs. Bates that you're not going to bed.
Hey, and then the only other thing is, does anybody have a problem if we were to throw an ad in the paper, just letting people know that there's a vote, as Mark said earlier, because we haven't been getting coverage from the newspaper, that we just asked Bill to put an ad in the paper, just letting people know there's going to be a vote on this, and that we'll have this informational meeting available if anybody wants to come. I don't think we have to have a huge discussion about it, but
Would it be an ad or would it be one of the?
well, there'll be a legal notice
legal
because it's a
notice.
warned meeting.
Yeah.
But I think, as Mark
ad.
said, usually when there's decisions to be made, the newspapers covered it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hasn't been
Right.
Could I ask a favor?
Yep.
My admin assistant is out this week. Could possibly Matt or Tammy ask Jen or Lori to do it?
Well, I can ask Randy Capitani if he could just do some kind of article. And then,
I mean, I'll do it. It's just
no, I can do it, Bill. I just asking the board if it's okay. I just get some either advertise it or see if he'll do just a brief write up of it. They can look at the notes and the minutes and the discussions we've had over the last year and a few months. Is everybody okay with that, or is there any issues?
I think it would be a good idea to put an ad in, just like we would do if there was an RFP going out or something.
Okay, and then also see if he can do an article too to get more exposure.
That would be wonderful. I'm assuming that Amelia was here because she was going to be writing.
I don't
today.
think she can because she's
not
an
with the paper
employee.
anymore.
Oh, she's not?
No, she's
I don't
working
think so.
for the school.
No. School and the Hermitage Club.
She just likes watching
Yeah.
our really fun meetings.
Okay.
She couldn't sleep, Mark. She was trying to fall asleep.
Exactly.
I think Mark is sleeping too because I don't see him moving. Oh, there he goes. He woke up.
I'm here.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. Let's get the heck out of here. Can somebody make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll make it to 11. Oh, Dwight's got it.
Dwight moved it. Kate seconded it. Mark, did you get it?
I got it.
Okay, thank you for sending that out, Mark, for helping us out. Kate, good job on your month of being our recording person. We really appreciate it. Bill, thank you. Sorry it was late. Thank you, everybody.